Although he hasn't won yet, and although I get a little tired of the magic magic tricks and the clowns and all those things that he has to sometimes do, I don't think there's any way you could not put Joe Maddon in your top five. Cubs last year, sort of a year ahead of schedule. They got to the NLCS to beat the Cardinals. He did a good job in Tampa. Got to a World Series. He wasn't exactly Miller Huggins in that World Series against the Phillies. They lost in 5 games. And he hasn't won a championship yet. So I think people think that Madden's one of these guys who's got 10 rings. He hasn't done that. But you can't not put Joe in your top 5. I mean, he knows how to get the best out of a ball club. Young players love playing for him. He overachieved some in Tampa. You can make an argument he got the Cubs a year too early to their destination in 2015. More to still do. Needs to be more than one World Series. He's got no hardware, so he's got more to do still. And there's going to be some pressure on him this year. You know, it's one thing to manage a team that's not supposed to do anything, that does something. That's a good quality. There's another thing to manage a team that is supposed to do something and gets the job done. That's hard too. Joe has done the first part. He hasn't done the second part yet. We see if he can do that with the 2016 Cubs. He's number 5. Number 4 is Buck Showalter. Now, I know he's left some spots, and then the next guy won. A lot of people think that's Buck's fault because he never would have been able to win because he's got such a hard-nosed approach and making sure your socks are proper and making sure you do the game right and all these kinds of things. And Arizona won after he left with Brentley. The Yankees, of course, won the 4 with Torrey. But I don't know how you can't put Buck in your top 5. He gets the most of what he has to have offered to him. He's been relatively consistent. He's won in 3 places. He's been in the playoffs with 3 different franchises. He's a stern son of a gun. Nobody fools around on him. They play hard, play the game right. Listen, does he have some rules? Is he a little bit of a puppeteer where he wants to control everything? He had that old knock on him. Maybe there's still something to it. But I don't know how anybody could look at managers in baseball today and not put Buck Showalter in your top 5. I'm going to put him number 4. Here's a guy that doesn't get a lot of credit, and that's Girardi. He won a Manager of the Year with the Marlins, number 1. Before he left there, he had an issue with the ownership. But Girardi's done an excellent job. Now, he had to follow Torrey, which is not easy, and he's had some years where he hasn't made the playoffs. You got to keep that in mind. His first year there, the Yankees didn't win. Then they spent $500 billion, and then all of a sudden they won in 2009. But Girardi does an excellent job with his bullpen. He gets his team basically to where they're supposed to be. He's been into some ALCSs. Last year, he took the Yankees as far as you can take them. Is he great with the media? Maybe not. Is he going to be one of those guys who's going to, be soft and have fun and tell you great stories? Maybe not. But I think in a lot of ways, Girardi's underrated. Everybody wants to think the Yankees get what they get because of the fact they have so much money to work with. And, they have all this income, so how in the world anybody can manage the team, all those kinds of things. He had to manage Jeter on his way out, Paul Lafayette on his way out to manage. As Whitey Herzog said, is always the toughest thing to do. He did that very, very well. He's manipulated bullpens forever with Mariano on the way out and everything else. He's figured out a way to use Sabathia. He got A-Rod to have a big year. I think Girardi's a little underrated. I'm going to put him number 3. A lot of people wouldn't like that choice. I'm going to put him number 3. Francona's number 2. Won 2 championships in Boston. He broke the curse. He was 0-3 down. He's been good with Cleveland. They play 162 games properly. They always come on strong at the end. Players play hard for him. Francona's been a little under the radar the last couple of years because the Indians haven't had a lot of success. Who's going into Cleveland to win a World Championship? Haven't won since '48. The payroll is what it is. I mean, it's not like he's got all these weapons at his disposal. One year the offense is good, the pitching's underrated. The other year it's overrated. The other year it's the other way around. The next year it's difficult with Francona. But I think if you're asking me right now, if I had a team that I think could win today, who would I take second? It would be he. And number 1 is Bochy. There's no argument here, folks. He's won 3 championships in 6 years. He had some success in San Diego. Players love playing for him. He's on his way to the Hall of Fame. There's no questions about that. But I'd like to see a little bit more consistency in the off years. Would I like to see the Giants be in the playoffs in the 3 odd years here in which they did not make the playoffs? Absolutely. Did he had a couple of bad years in San Francisco and obviously finished poorly in San Diego? Absolutely. But his players love playing for him. He's won with a lot of different ways. First year, he won with a lot of these ragamuffin kind of players with Rennery and Uribe on the left side of his infield, Ross and Aubrey Huff. Then he won with the great starting pitching, of course, with Lincecum and Kane and, Bumgarner when he beat the when he beat the Tigers, and then he won 2 years ago using a one guy and a pretty good offense in Bumgarner. Plus, he's come from 0-2 down on the road in the best-of-5 series, like Francona did against the Yankees. There's nothing much not to like. It's a no-brainer. Bochy's number one.